प्रैक्टिस के लिए शब्द be here, यहीं रहो, be there, वहीं रहो, be my guest, रहो मेरे मेहमान, be happy, रहो खुश, be healthy, रहो स्वस्थ, be safe, सुरक्षित रहो। प्रैक्टिस के लिए शब्द should be, he should be at home, he should be in school, he should be in the temple, he should be in the church, he should be in the ashram, he should be in the park. She should be at home, she should be in school, she should be in the temple, she should be in the church, she should be in the ashram, she should be in the park. Have been, I have, eat, I have been eating, drink, I have been drinking, sleep, I have been sleeping, walk, walking, I have been walking, speak, I have been speaking, play, I have been playing, talk, I have been talking, sit, I have been sitting, read, I have been reading, write, I have been writing. You have, eat, you have been eating, drink, you have been drinking, sleep, you have been sleeping, walk, walking, you have been walking, speak, you have been speaking, play, you have been playing, talk, you have been talking, sit, you have been sitting, read, you have been reading, write, you have been writing. We have, eat, we have been eating, drink, we have been drinking, sleep, we have been sleeping, walk, walking, we have been walking, speak, we have been speaking, play, we have been playing, talk, we have been talking, sit, we have been sitting, read, we have been reading, write, we have been writing. They have, eat, they have been eating, drink, they have been drinking, sleep, they have been sleeping, walk, walking, they have been walking, speak, they have been speaking, play, they have been playing, talk, they have been talking, sit, they have been sitting, read, they have been reading, write, they have been writing. He has, eat, he has been eating, drink, he has been drinking, sleep, he has been sleeping, walk, walking, he has been walking, speak, he has been speaking, play, he has been playing, talk, he has been talking, sit, he has been sitting, read, he has been reading, write, he has been writing. She has, eat, she has been eating, drink, she has been drinking, sleep, she has been sleeping, walk, walking, she has been walking, speak, she has been speaking, play, she has been playing, talk, she has been talking, sit, she has been sitting, read, she has been reading, write, she has been writing. From last 3 days, have been, I have, eat. From last 3 days, I have been eating, drink. From last 3 days, I have been drinking, sleep. From last 3 days, I have been sleeping, walk, walking. From last 3 days, I have been walking, speak. From last 3 days, I have been speaking, play. From last 3 days, I have been playing, talk. From last 3 days, I have been talking, sit. From last 3 days, I have been sitting, read. From last 3 days, I have been reading, write. From last 3 days, I have been writing. You have, eat. From last 3 days, you have been eating, drink. From last 3 days, you have been drinking, sleep. From last 3 days, you have been sleeping, walk, walking. From last 3 days, you have been walking, speak. From last 3 days. You have been speaking. Play. From last 3 days. You have been playing. Talk. From last 3 days. You have been talking. Sit. From last 3 days. You have been sitting. Read. From last 3 days. You have been reading. Write. From last 3 days. You have been writing. We have. Eat. From last 3 days. We have been eating. Drink. From last 3 days. We have been drinking. Sleep. From last 3 days. We have been sleeping. Walk. Walking. From last 3 days. We have been walking. Speak. From last 3 days. We have been speaking. Play. From last 3 days. We have been playing. Talk. From last 3 days. We have been talking. Sit. From last 3 days. We have been sitting. Read. From last 3 days. We have been reading. Write. From last 3 days. We have been writing. They have. Eat. From last 3 days. They have been eating. Drink. From last 3 days. They have been drinking. Sleep. From last 3 days. They have been sleeping. Walk. Walking. From last 3 days. They have been walking. Speak. From last 3 days. They have been speaking. Play. From last 3 days. They have been playing. Talk. From last 3 days. They have been talking. Sit. From last 3 days. They have been sitting. Read. From last 3 days. They have been reading. Write. From last 3 days. They have been writing. He has. Eat. From last 3 days. He has been eating. Drink. From last 3 days. He has been drinking. Sleep. From last 3 days. He has been sleeping. Walk. Walking. From last 3 days. He has been walking. Speak. From last 3 days. He has been speaking. Play. From last 3 days. He has been playing. Talk. From last 3 days. He has been talking. Sit. From last 3 days. He has been sitting. Read. From last 3 days. He has been reading. Write. From last 3 days. He has been writing. She has. Eat. From last 3 days. She has been eating. Drink. From last 3 days. She has been drinking. Sleep. From last 3 days. She has been sleeping. Walk. Walking. From last 3 days. She has been walking. Speak. From last 3 days. She has been speaking. Play. From last 3 days. She has been playing. Talk. From last 3 days. She has been talking. Sit. From last 3 days. She has been sitting. Read. From last 3 days. She has been reading. Write. From last 3 days. She has been writing.